We are all here for this, career awareness webinar. I'll be taking you through various career options which are available after class 12 for all the courses. It is PCM and PCB and arts, humanities students, commerce students. So for every student, I have tried and included all the career options which are possible for these particular streams. So every student, once he completes class 10, what first thing which comes in mind is what to choose. And after choosing a subject, there are various paradigm using that which a student chooses a subject, and then once he or she chooses a subject, then comes a huge vast uh, you know uh, career options which are there. Now to choose a career option out of that, those many career options, there are certain points which they should always keep in mind. So I'll just talk about that today. Before doing that, I'll just introduce Meera ma'am and Malini ma'am, who would be assisting me in this webinar, as well as what we have thought is now we'll have regular sessions in Kaksha, which will guide students for various career path which they can choose. And Meera ma'am and Malini ma'am, these are the two new I can say partners who would be helping Kaksha students to choose their career and help them, be successful. So let us first, I'll just introduce me. Everyone knows me, most of them who are there in this meeting. So I have been teaching since last 12 years, and because I have been, into IIT, JEE, NEET, CAT preparation, DI and LR preparation, CLAT, IPMAT, NDA, SAT, ACT. So all of these exams, I have mentored, many students, and because of this, I have a great, info and inroads into all these, particular job profiles, and then, you know, so I have also done a small certification program from Global Career Counselor Certification, UCLA, and 2 years back, and so that just helps me with few more career options which have recently been added, and we for which we were not aware of those courses. So you know more than a teacher, I have been more of a mentor and someone who guides a student to get to his or her goal. So more of a career guide than a teacher. So that's how the parents and students look up to me, and till now I have been pretty much successful in helping these students. And then the next person in our team, Meera Sheshadri. She brings her experiences from around the world. So she has done PhD in endocrinology from US, and she has mentored hundreds of aspiring students and professionals in India and Middle East through their study abroad journey. So she is having a forte in helping students in getting admissions abroad. So mostly in US, Canada, Europe, and now she has also been involved in Asia Pacific countries as well. So uh, her passion to help students and families were exemplified during her role. So she has also been associated with US Consulate India as a senior advisor, education in US, and other higher education organization that she has been involved with. She understands what international universities are looking for and what it takes for students to be successful. Uh, she has lived in India, Qatar, and US, and currently resides with her family in Canada. So basically, she has a vast experience, international experience, basically, which which adds to our experience. So me and Malini ma'am, we are more into Indian universities, and this, and Malini ma'am has been associated with US universities and Europe universities as well. And Meera ma'am has more of experience with these countries abroad. This gives a mix of a team where we will be able to help our students with in every possible way. Malini ma'am, I'll just give an introduction of her. She was a financial journalist for more than 2 decades. She has worked both in India and London. She began her career with the Indian Express in Mumbai and moved on to Economic Times as a senior copy editor. She joined the Euromoney group in London in 2003 and later moved to the prestigious International Financial Review magazine, the world's leading provider of global capital markets intelligence. A decade ago, she returned to India as a senior editor at Reuters News, New Delhi. And last year, she took a career break and got deeply involved with her son's college admission process to the British, American, and Canadian universities, which triggered her interest in career counseling. And she has taken a deeper plunge now, and she has been pursuing global career counselor certification offered by UCLA Extension. So we as a team would be helping every student, both from Kaksha as well as students who are not associated with Kaksha but want to take this particular services from us. So we'll be helping them all in these respects. Now, so career options after 12th, if I talk about career options which are available after 12th, so every student, after completing 12th, they want to know where they want to head, after completing their 12th exam. So there are various options, to either take commerce stream or arts stream, whether to stay here in India or go abroad and do their undergraduate programs. Whether to choose a medical field or non-medical field, means IIT, JEE and NEET, those kind of things. What are the future options available with a student? Colleges to choose from, whether to take an entrance exam or just apply for universities outside India. So there are lots of options and opportunities which are available. So one needs to plan his or her career properly, because this is something which decides your whole life. All options are equally good and compete with each other. So you just need to choose what your interest is. It should be something which you should be happy doing later on. We as an individual, every one of us has gone through a phase where we feel that if we would have done this, it would have been better. And personally, if I talk about myself, I am into education completely. I did my engineering and I did not use anything. Basically, if I would have known that education is my passion, I should have directly plunged into education and not taken 10 years or 7 years of my career in software engineering and then coming back to education. So you have to plan your career properly. One should choose a career based on academics, personality, and desire. So these are the three important things which you should keep in mind when you are planning your career. So first of all, how to choose a career is you need to know yourself, your interest, your values, skills, assets, resources, personality, how your personality is. Then second, explore the possibilities. So when you are exploring the possibilities, take help from your friends, your seniors. There is a lot of information in internet. Then take help from us. Professionally, you can take help from us as well. So research, try things out, narrow choices, and find a few that fits you. Then, after exploring the possibility, make a choice, set your goal, develop a plan, and address barriers. So, what are the things which you need to overcome to have that particular choice? And then once you have made a choice, you have to make it happen. So put plan into action, learn along the way, and achieve your goal. So make it happen, as in, if you are choosing IIT JEE as your career, or engineering as a career, and you want to appear for JEE mains or JEE advanced, then you need to put that plan into action. Only planning doesn't help. You will have to put it into action as well. uh, you know so these career help which we would be providing to our students, and is something which has been captured in this. Now, so, there is one point which you need to understand. You should always realize that ambition and reality, you have to check on, your ambition should be very realistic. You cannot choose your ambition, which is, very unrealistic. So looking at your, boundaries, what you can do, what you cannot do. So you need to choose your ambition. So before making a career choice, take time to understand yourself, your likes and preferences. It can be, see, ambition cannot be injected, nor can it be imitated, right? You cannot see that, your brother is also an IIT, and so you also need to prepare for IIT. Or, someone injects it into you, that, your parents, or, your relatives, they come and tell you, okay, this is what you have to become, and then you start following it. It should come from within. So right now what has been happening is parents' attitude is the determining factor in shaping one's career goal. So if a parent gives that freedom to us, to his or her child, to think of to come up with their own career choice and ambition, and then help them achieve that would be more better an option, rather than injecting a particular ambition or career choice into one's child. So that doesn't help actually most of the times. So conventional thinking is, to choose a profession that parents like, that this is what that has been happening, to follow what the others do. Most of the times inclination towards medical or engineering profession, that is what, in our society, what is happening. And then we also saw the same thing. We had only two career choices, but that's not the case now. Now, there are numerous career choices to choose from, and everything is equally, it's not something is more important, or more lucrative, and other is not that important. It's not like that. Everything is now balanced. There is, every job is, if you do it in a proper way, it's high paying, and your career grows. There is growth everywhere, in a balanced way. Possibilities of getting job abroad, this is, what conventional thinking was, if I choose a particular career, I'll get a job outside, and then I can continue there, get a green card or something. So that was something which was there 10 years, 15 years before. Now those things doesn't matter. World is basically an open market now, as we are seeing. And after corona and everything, how the things are going to shape, we also don't know. So it may be that India itself becomes a signing place where everyone comes for their higher education or something. It can happen that ways also. So conventional thinking, we don't have to think in that ways. No, we it is something which we have to shun, and move ahead. So career that will earn you a government job, these are all conventional thinking. Now people don't think like that, and students don't think like that. So there are two types of career, if we basically define. One is education based career, other is talent based career. So education based career, how you have got your education, and talent based career means you are God gifted, talented. You may be one of the best artists, or you have a wonderful sketching abilities. So these are all talent based careers. And education based career, as in you have studied PCM, and you have chosen you also studied PCB, or chosen medical line for yourself. So basically, the factors which go into choosing a career, that should go into choosing a career, is first is your skills, obviously, and then your interest, what does your interest lies in, the values and motivation which you get from the society, your personality, your contacts, your qualification, your location. These are all the factors which should go into choosing your career. Uh, I'll be sharing this slide also later on, where you can go through these slides. I have been recording this lecture as well, so that I can put it on YouTube and you can see it in detail also. Right now, because of time constraint, I'll not be delving deeper into each of these slides. But yeah, if you want to connect one-on-one with me, you can always connect. So these are the BA degree programs which someone who has chosen humanities as a career can choose, like history, economics, political science, psychology, sociology, anthropology. These are numerous degree courses one can choose. Then careers which you can get after choosing these courses is based on the subjects taken. You can pursue a career in actuary science, and then anthropologist, as an archaeologist, as an economist, as an educationist, geographer, historian. And then there are many career options which you can choose from the core subjects which you have studied. You can even get a good, you can make a good career in public administration. So you can you can write civil services examination, and then become an IAS or IFS. Immense scope after higher studies in the respective subjects. So if you have done masters in any of these subjects, there are a lot of scope there. Then comes the second stream, commerce stream. One can specialize in financial accounting and auditing, auditing and cost accounting, banking and finance, taxation, actuarial science, company secretarial practices. So CACS, which we all know, business management. You can do BBA after your 12th class. Foreign trade practices and procedures. So there are certain courses, undergraduate courses, which specializes in foreign trade. Then we have CA, ICWA, and CS. These are all very common thing which every student who does take commerce, they have these career options in mind. Career after studies in commerce. So after you have done studied commerce, you can become an accountant, a banker, actuarial science, and then you can be a business manager. You can become an export professional with wide scope after higher studies, completing these courses. Graduate courses in various vocational subjects. If you have studied commerce, you can even go into advertising. You can go into company secretaryship. You can do computer programming. You can do economics systems. So these are all vocational subjects which you can choose even with commerce. And later on you can do a major in any of these and make a career. Similarly, other vocational subjects, with arts in mind is, social work, mass communication, journalism. So, these vocational subjects help you transform your, what you have studied in these undergraduate program when you, directly into job profile. So science stream students, they can choose general BSc courses from all these: physics, chemistry, mathematics, geology, statistics, biochemistry. So, and then they can even do biotechnology, computer science, information technology, electronics. So these are the courses one can choose if they have done physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And above all, we all know that PCM, if someone chooses PCM in India, it's more about engineering and technology. So these are various, engineering courses one can opt after, completing the engineering degree. Options after science stream, physics, chemistry, and bio, if someone has chosen. So general science courses like zoology, botany, microbiology, biochemistry, etc. These are the general science courses one can choose if they have taken PCB. One can take applied component subjects also, like biotechnology, horticulture, marine science, environmental science, food production, preservation, etc. Other courses like industrial biochemistry and applied nutrition, health information administration, genetics. These are the courses one can choose after completing PCB. And these are normal science stream subjects one can do from any university. Then the main one is medical and paramedical science courses. There is one exam, NEET. Once you clear NEET, you are eligible for admissions into all these courses in any of the 500, around 500 plus colleges which are there in India, which offers admission into all these courses after completing NEET. You can also choose architecture. So one need to choose, have chosen a science stream for this. One can also pursue, Master of Architecture after completing BArch. And then candidates who qualify the degree course may pursue career in architecture, both as, you can get a job or you can be a self-employed personals. So most of them are self-employed, and there are certain consulting firms which are offering high, good package for these architecture jobs. Then we have, in hotel industry, hotel management, catering and nutrition. This is another very lucrative field now. There are several private institutes of hotel management. Most of these institutes offer diploma in hotel management and specialization in front office. Then we have food and beverages, housekeeping, catering. Diploma courses is generally of 3-year duration. So there are certain hotel management courses which are of 3-year duration. Minimum education qualification required is 10+2 with at least 50% marks in PCM subjects. Then we have talent-based offset careers, offbeat careers. Basically, this is something which I was talking about, talent-based careers. So you can get into pet grooming, hairstyling, aromatherapy, tarot reading. So these are all something new things which are coming in. Becoming a choreographer, then singer, music, DJs, and then video jockeys. So they are all careers which are talent based. If you have it in you, you should definitely choose. It's no point doing something which you don't like. So if you like doing these things, these are also nowadays you can open up your own store, or do something of your own and be a freelancer who would be giving these kind of services to people, and then you earn a lot in these fields as well. Then there is one competitive exams, SCRA, Special Class Railway Apprentice exam. So this is one of the first exams which you take using UPSC. UPSC conducts these examinations. So this is one particular field which is very lucrative in terms, once you are an SCRA, once you have completed SCRA, you get a separate saloon when you travel anywhere. So the railways attach a separate saloon for you when you are traveling anywhere. So just imagine, being a 17-year student, after 12, you complete your course in 4 years, and then wherever you go, there will be a separate saloon which will be attached for you to go anywhere in the world, in India, sorry. So the subjects which are needed here is PCM again, and the competitive exam, the entrance exam which is being conducted, tests your English language, mathematics, physics, chemistry, general knowledge, and psychological tests. So the seats are very less, but then it is one of the best career options which you can choose. Then we have National Defense Academy, NDA. So students who who want to serve their nation, they can write these exams, NDA exams, and get into Air Force, Army, and Navy. So again, PCM is the subject which you should have for executive branch course at Naval Academy. And then apart from that, once you have cleared your written exam, you have to go through SSB, Service Selection Board interview, and then a medical examination. And then you have a training in Naval Defense Academy. for 3 years, and then final 1 year you have a training in IMA, Indian Military Academy, if you have chosen army as your core subject. So biological science may, the career profile which you can have after you have chosen PCB and done your biological science, graduation from biology. You can be any of these, agriculturist, you can be a biochemist, you can be a uh, bioinformatics, you can be a biotechnologist. These are the career profile once you have done your biological science, completed your biological science. If you have completed your engineering, these are the career choices, career profiles which you can have: aerospace engineer, automobile engineer, biomedical engineer. So these are all engineering courses which you can choose according to your liking. Then again, naval architect, production engineer, telecommunication engineering. So these are different engineering branches basically. If you have chosen finance and accounts, and then these are the career options for you: actually, a banker, chartered accountant, chartered financial analyst, economist. So what you need to do is, first you have to, as we discussed, that flow chart, you have to find out what your interest is, and then see the career uh, you know path, which is career options which are available if you choose commerce, and then accordingly choose one career option, and then start preparing yourself for that, how to get into the UG courses and how you will shape up your career. So the whole career path should be very clear to you right from the start. Once you have done your management courses, let's say BBA or something, so these are the career options which you have: brand manager, business development manager, business manager, event manager. If you have chosen media and communication, then these are the options which you have: career cinematographer, client service executive, copywriter, film editing, journalist, and other stuff. Hospitality, hospitality industry, if you are one of the career choices, it can be you can get into air hostess, you can be a guest relation executive, you can be a hotel management uh, graduate and do the careers, get into career options of hotel industry, and then become a travel and tourism professional. uh, if you have chosen medical sciences as your option, these are the career choices which you have. You can be a doctor, cardiologist, dentist, endocrinologist, nurse, nutritionist, dietitian. So these are the career options which you can have. So there are many options. Being a doctor, we just understand that I have cleared NEET and then I'll become a doctor. You should also think, go forward and think which line you are going to get into. When you become a doctor, whether you will be a cardiologist or a dentist or endocrinologist. So you have to think of your career in till that level. So this is the whole chart basically. Career choices after doing various courses. I'll share this with you guys. So you even know how many years would be required and what are the courses and things which are required. So I'll just take another 2-3 minutes. So there are 4 P's which decide your career basically. You will survive only if you believe in the power of your dreams. To believe in the power of your dream, remember the 4 P's. First is purpose, passion, possibilities, and power. So have a purpose in life, and a dream will follow. Trim this dream in your heart, and possibilities will open for you. Choose today to start believing in the magical power of wishing, hoping, and dreaming. So these are the power 4 P's basically. And then something which I always include in my any of my presentations. So there is one very great saying in Bhagavad Gita: मनुष्य अपने विश्वास से निर्मित होता है, जैसा वह विश्वास करता है वैसा ही बन जाता है. So if you start believing in yourself and believing in your dreams, you will definitely shape your career. So please think about your career seriously. uh, Career choices are life choices. Take them serious and do it right. Thanks everyone. If there are certain questions, we'll take it in question and answer round. Uh, uh, and then I think I'll now invite Meera ma'am to talk about her experience and what she is going to offer to our students. And I'll just give the permissions basically. Yes, Meera ma'am, I've given you that share screen permission. You can share.
Sure, just let me quickly share screen here. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Sunita, for introducing us and for also giving such a holistic and comprehensive idea of the careers and career choices that are available to students. This is a great session, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to talk to your students. Thank you, Ankit, for organizing this and being the support. Malini and I are very happy to be here today to talk to you about higher education opportunities outside of India as well as few inside India with respect to the liberal arts, the newer liberal arts universities. So without further ado, I just want to get started and tell you a bit about the different topics that you see here on the screen. So it's basically your journey from high school to college. Now, as I understand, there are students who are in the 11th grade now, and also there are parents of these students who are joining us today. Thank you so much for joining us. And today we're going to touch upon what do you need to know, right? You are in that stage where you can make a choice which will actually lead to deciding your future in a certain way. So what can you do right now to equip yourself so that you can benefit in the long run? Right. So at Indage, we are a global organization and we are a higher education mentoring organization mostly. We complement what Kaksha does. Kaksha helps with your academic tutoring and your standardized testing and all the competitive exams that you need to take. And then after that, it is all about putting your application together. So when it comes to Indian universities, the process is definitely a lot more straightforward with taking the entrance exams, and then you qualify or you don't qualify, and then you go from there. Whereas when it comes to universities outside of India, there is always a different process based on the country, and the way it is designed for each country is to suit what works for them. So, for example, there's the UK, and then there's US, there's Canada. So, US and Canada being in North America, again, the process is quite different, but it is similar in some ways as well. And then there's Singapore, there's Australia. So, how are all these coming together? How do we help students who are in this boat? How can they get to this side of the shore, right? So that is what we're going to cover today. And to give you a brief overview of what we will be talking about, we will be talking about what you can do in grade 11 to build your profile, right? I will also go deep into what is profile building and how we can help you in that process. Sunit sir has done a great job of covering all the competitive exams as far as India is concerned, and he also touched upon some of the exams that Kaksha gives you coaching on for international standardized tests. We'll just go into a little bit of detail about that as to when you can take it and what will work for you in that regard. I'll also talk about a specialized curriculum that we have called Advance, which is catered to help students right from grade 8 onwards to develop themselves holistically so that they are prepared for college and what college is going to be for them. The other services that we do provide are shortlisting universities. You do probably know that in the US you have more than 4,500 accredited colleges and universities, and in Canada you have about little over 150. So how do you pick and choose? What is the strategy you can employ? How do you manage your time? Because today's day and age, students have so much going on. they are having online school, and then they have to go for coaching, and then they have extracurricular activities. So basically, how do you manage all this in the time that you have, right? And what is campus life? Why should you pick the different countries that you might be interested in? And last but not the least, the money matters and visa processing involved for each of these countries, and how we can help you with advising related to budgeting and affordability when it comes to higher education. Because depending on the field you choose and depending on the country you choose, the fee structure is completely different. And in the end, I'll also sort of sum it up and tell you how we can help Kaksha students in this regard, and how we can partner together to bring about student success, which is our ultimate motto. And that's the biggest point I wanted to talk about today, is that both Kaksha and Indage, our focus is how to help the student become successful, right? And we will do everything that we can to help you in that accord. So that is the central motto, and we will get started with that. So this is just something I think about nowadays, given the huge role that a student has to play, right? Unlike what we were used to in the past, where we just went to school with our backpacks and finished school and came home. And I think in those days, what you learned in school was it. Right. I don't think the parent actually had to sit with the student and go through certain things. But then as the curriculum has been developed, and as we expand on what is available to us, there's so much more that is expected of a student. So in my opinion, a student is a multifaceted personality, right? They do so much more. They're juggling with so many different activities, and they carry more than a backpack of responsibilities, right? We always think of the big backpack that you carry to school, and it is so heavy, right? You're carrying the world on your shoulders for some time, because you feel like there's so much you need to do to accomplish so much in such little time, right? So in my opinion, a student is a multifaceted personality who carries more than just the backpack, and juggles between activities to constantly find where they belong to achieve their dreams, right? So at every stage in life as a student, you have different dreams. When you're in seventh grade, you think about being a pilot, right? When you get to ninth grade, you think about going into becoming a marine biologist, right? And then you come to the 11th grade, and you've had a little more foundation in certain courses, and then suddenly you say, okay, you know what, I think I want to do aeronautic sciences. So basically your dreams keep changing, which is okay, which is completely fine. But at a certain point, you need to sort of step back and evaluate your choices and see what is available to you, so that you can equip yourself for the road ahead. Now, the good thing about studying abroad, or rather, at least in North America, where US and Canada are concerned, is you don't need to absolutely make up your mind, right? Because you always have an option of being an undecided major, wherein you can come into the university, get exposed to different fields, and then decide, okay, I definitely want to do biophysics. I don't think I like psychology that much. So you will get an exposure to different fields, which will help you basically weed out more than include what you want to do. So with North America, that is a big possibility, where it is very flexible, and it works towards your advantage, because sometimes what you learn in school, or rather most times, is completely different from what you learn in college. So when you evaluate the two, you realize, okay, in school I thought I wanted to do genetics, but then when I came to college, I realized that I don't think I have that interest anymore. So can I switch? Right. So if that switch is possible, if you are in a more flexible environment, and because of that, there are a lot of liberal arts universities that have come up these days, even in India. For example, you have the Ashoka, you have Kriya, you have Flame, OP Jindal, you have so many of these right now. And the reason behind that is to give you an interdisciplinary mindset. Right. So I just want to talk a bit about what is the pre-application strategy. You are in that stage right now where you are still making up your mind. Some of you are still making up your mind about what you can do and what is out there, right? And how you can prepare yourself. So I want to tell you that you can be everything you want to be, right? The common saying is you can be anything you want to be, right? But the anything is so vast that there is no specific direction. But what I'm telling you is you can be everything you want to be. You want to be an artist, you want to be a physicist, you want to be a mathematician, you can be everything of these, right? But you, all you need to do is be honest with yourself about what you exactly want. That honesty will build confidence in you, right? And then the most important thing you need is cheering from your inner circle, right? If you look at the small blurb I have over here about your inner circle, you are in the center of the process. When I say you, it is the student, right? You are in the center of this process, and then around you is your inner circle. Now, the people who would form this inner circle are your parents, your teachers, your coaches, your tutors, right? And your best friends sometimes, because these are the people whose advice you take on a regular basis to better yourselves, right? And then beyond that is your well wisher circle, right? Which is comprised of immediate relatives, immediate family, family friends, and then comes acquaintances, and then comes strangers. So depending on who is giving you advice, you have to decide whether they fall in your inner circle or not, right? And then once you do these things, once you're honest with yourself about your ambitions and your capabilities and basically what you can do within the time you have, that will build confidence in you. And with a bunch of cheerleaders on your side comprising of your inner circle, your energy will be channeled in the right direction, right? So that's where I wanted to start and tell you that this is something you can definitely do, right? You can be everything you want to be, provided you have these things in check, right? Okay, so what is covered in the pre-application part, right? How do you equip yourself? So profile building is one of the most important things that's covered in the pre-application strategy. It is also related to all the tests you need to take to equip yourself, and basically some amount of research that you need to do to understand what is out there. So before we go a little deeper into that, I just want to quickly give you a blurb about my story and where I have been all this time, right? So I was born in Mumbai, and then my dad worked for Qatar Petroleum. So that is where I grew up. 1982 to 1995, you can see the timeline there. I was in Qatar, I grew up there. So living in the Middle East as an Indian student in a CBSE curriculum, I completely understand, what it is to take CBSE, right? And then around eighth grade, middle of eighth grade is when we moved back to India, because during that time the schooling was not great. The education system was definitely better in India than the Middle East. So we moved back to India, and for 9th and 10th, I was in CBSE. And then there was this whole wave of, join the state board to get a better percentage so that you can get admissions into better universities. And, we fell for it as well. And I moved to a state board curriculum, 11th and 12th. So I was in India from 9th till my 12th. And then after that, that was the time when people started asking you, right? What are you going to do next? Like, are you going to do engineering? Are you going to do medicine? And these were also the two big choices that were given to us, right, at that point. And I didn't want to do either of these. I didn't want to do engineering. I didn't want to do medicine. I wanted to focus on biological sciences, right? Without the component of engineering. Now, the only way to do that in India is a 3-year Bachelor of Science degree, right? It has to either be in botany, zoology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, right? In those fields. Now, I wanted to do biotechnology because I was so fascinated with biotechnology and genetics in 11th and 12th grade that I felt that's what I wanted to do. And my inner circle was cheering for me. It was the acquaintances and the well-wishers who kept saying, why do you want to settle for a BSc? Right? It was always called settling. It's just a mindset, which is not something that helps you in any way. But I was glad that my inner circle was cheering for me and said, you know what, you want to do BSc? Go for BSc. So I went in for a BSc biotechnology program, which was a 3-year degree, right? And then once I finished that, again, everybody is, what next? What are you going to do next? So in my final year, I knew that I wanted to specialize in genetics. So, for some reason, the dream stood. And then I said, okay, let me go into biomedical genetics. And I came back. I was in Coimbatore for my bachelor's, and I came back to Chennai for my master's. And I was in the University of Madras doing my biomedical genetics master's degree. And this was about 2003 to 2005, when once I had done my master's in genetics, I realized that I don't want to specialize in genetics anymore. I actually want to go deeper into neuroscience, right? Now, if I were to apply for something in India related to neuroscience at that point of time, I had absolutely no experience in neuroscience, right? So I started looking at opportunities outside of India, because I know that you only need the basic sciences to be able to equip yourself to get into a specialized program like neuroscience. So I started looking at the US, I looked at UK. I didn't look at Canada at that time because I didn't know any better. But what I did find was the US had amazing opportunities for the field of study that I liked. So I picked universities where I would actually get completely funded. So it's nice to know that my parents didn't have to spend a penny on my PhD. It was all completely funded. It was on a scholarship, and the university was amazing. And I got my PhD in neuroscience in 2012. Now, after that, now during my course of the PhD, there are few realizations, right? So you spend 5.5, 6 years doing a PhD. You do see a lot of things in the US, and you do see a lot of what do you call, like, stages of life, right? You start off as a PhD student, then you become a mentor for undergraduate students. You teach students along the way as well. So I started seeing students who were from the US itself, who were doing their undergrad program. And I saw students from other countries who had come to the US to do their undergraduate program. And a little bit, a little part of me actually was envious of them, because in their undergraduate degree, they had the opportunity to do so much more than just focus on their study subject, right? So, for example, if they were doing biological sciences, they could still take a minor in the arts. They could still take an elective in, say, horse riding. So that kind of made me a little envious. I was like, man, I wish somebody had, guided me before to kind of come outside of India to do my undergraduate degree, not for any other reason, but because I had an interest in the arts as well. But, I tried to make the most of my time, even as a PhD student, by involving myself in different clubs, different arts, different world music ensembles, to sort of make up for what I had missed. But what I did realize that day was, if anyone came up to me and said, I have an interdisciplinary set of desires, right? I want to be, or ambitions, I want to be able to do 2, 3 different things, then I would definitely share this experience with them, because I want them to have the information that I did not have, so that they can make a better choice. So that is how my interest in mentoring actually started. I was one of the ambassadors for the university to help with international student recruitment and to help with international student orientation once they were in the university. And that's how I was interested in the mentoring process. So after that, I moved back to India briefly between 2013 and 2016, where I worked at the US consulate in Chennai. And this is how I understood the other side of the university admissions, wherein there is the public diplomacy part, there is a lot of agendas that different universities have about recruitment. How do they pick students? What kind of students interest them from other countries? So I had an insight into a different side of the university admissions process, which gave me a little more, like, sort of empowered me. It's kind of the 4 Ps that Sunit sir was talking about. It really empowered me, because now I was following my passion, right? I had my purpose already. So this became my sort of an empowerment to help someone else. So that is how I went deeper into mentoring, into higher education mentoring. And in 2017 January is when my family and I, we immigrated to Canada. We immigrated here as permanent residents. And ever since, like from 2018, Indage was established in 2018 for the sole purpose of mentoring students through their higher education university application process, not only for that period of when it's the crunch time, right? In 12th grade, you're all scrambling for so many different things, but also to help you understand how to get there, right? what does it take to get there? So that is my story in in a bubble, just for you to understand where I came from. So there's always the what next question, right? Everybody keeps asking you what next, but you are not obligated to answer everyone. What I want to tell you is, take your time, decide what you want to do. If you cannot decide, there's always an option. So you need to talk to your inner circle for them to understand that you are in a certain place and they need to help you to get you out of there. All right. So that's a gist of my story. But let's go into profile building and let me tell you what it is exactly and how you can develop these different things that I'm talking to you about. So, profile building deals with developing your strengths. Now, when I say strength, it is not just your caliber to do well in college, but it is also your overall personality, right? You might be someone who writes really well, who's good at creative writing. So, what can you do to exemplify this interest, right? What can you do to make yourself better at it? So you need to develop those traits. You need to figure out what your strengths are and build on them, right? There's a lot of gap between what you're good at and what you can achieve, right? So how to bridge that gap? What are the kind of experiences you need to sort of give you that holistic development in a particular field, right? Throughout this period, you should be keeping track of your achievements. So we tell students that right from grade 8 onwards, if parents can start maintaining a folder for them and say, okay, 8th grade, September to December, the child was involved in this particular activity, which lasted for so many months and so many hours a week was spent on it. These are the different achievements in it. That really helps later on, because even colleges and universities in the US and Canada, or even in the UK, they all look for your activities right from grade 9 and upwards. So you need to have something going on, right? And then choosing a curriculum that fits. Now this is where it becomes a little tricky, because for different countries and universities it's different. Now the UK has a more structured system where it is similar to India, where you take something, you stick to it. You might be able to take a little bit of another subject as a minor, but an interdisciplinary major is something that you need to be very what do you call, you need to be a high achiever to be able to showcase that you can actually achieve that. All right. But in the US and Canada, it is more normal to take interdisciplinary majors, where you have a major in biophysics and then you're also majoring in psychology, right? You can have two different things that you're majoring in. So basically choosing a curriculum that fits. For example, if you're interested in psychology, you need to understand that there are two ways of achieving a bachelor's degree in psychology. One is the arts way, the other one is the science way. So which way do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? Are you looking at clinical psychology? Then maybe Bachelor of Science is a good option. If you want to do that, you definitely need math in your high school. But if you're looking at a more arts way of doing psychology, then you don't need math, right? So very to put it in simple words, if you know that you're interested in a subject, you need to know how deep you want to go into that subject to get to where you want to go. And that is where we help, because we can sit and talk to you and help you understand where you're coming from and where you can go with this to be able to reach that goal, right? What kind of internships and independent studies do you need to do to reach there? So these days it's become so competitive that high school students also have to showcase their interest in the field by taking on internships, by taking on independent research studies. So we have students who intern with organizations, who intern with companies, schools, hospitals. They shadow a doctor or a dentist just to understand what's going on. And universities appreciate that, because they can see that you already have enough going on and you're still taking the time to do these things, right? Creating a resume. So when you're building your profile, you're automatically creating your resume. Ultimately, it's only the formatting and everything that you need to work on. Besides this, right, when you're building your profile, an interdisciplinary mindset is already getting built in you, because you're having all these varied experiences, which is causing you to have interest in different fields, right? And then there's always the extracurricular activities. I keep telling students that it is not the number of extracurricular activities that you do that counts, but actually how deep you go into it, right? So basically, how much time are you putting in? What are the kind of achievements you're getting in that particular field? And where do you stand in a competitive stance, right? For example, in music, there are these Trinity School of Music exams that you can take for theory and practical. So are you someone who's gone to grade 3? Are you someone who's gone to grade 4? Or if you're looking at sports, then what kind of sports do you play? What level have you reached? State level, district level, where are you? So basically, you need to understand where your strengths are. How much effort do you need to put into it to sort of make it count, right? So very quickly, why is an interdisciplinary mindset important? So yes, you have PCM in your 11th and 12th, or you have PCB, right? It helps with integration of fields for careers. So for example, nowadays there's something called resource economics, or artificial intelligence, or music therapy, right? These are actually combinations of different fields. Artificial intelligence has a lot of math, a lot of algorithms in it, and computer science, of course. It also has a lot of biophysics if you're dealing with robotics and things like that. So it's an integration of so many different fields. Another thing I tell students is, don't get stuck on the scope of a field to a large extent, right? Because today what might be a good scope might change. For example, look at all of us. We're all sitting in front of a laptop or a desktop or in front of a phone or an iPad, and we're watching this session, right? So who knew that homeschooling via education technology would become such a big thing? Yes, we did anticipate it, the way in which technology was going, but we didn't think it would happen so soon. And over a month or two, schools have, adapted to the new system. Everybody has adapted to the new system. So you never know what the scope of a particular subject might be. Especially for you, you're starting now in 11th grade. So by the time you finish 12th, certain fields might actually not be as great anymore, right? So there's going to be a lot of things. Some things never change, but there's always the dynamics of it that you need to understand. Exposure to various fields and pioneers. So these days we're all about watching 2-minute videos or 1-minute videos, right? Even as if any of you are in the marketing field, they always say your video should not be more than 1.5 minutes, because that is the attention span these days for customers, right? But when it comes to students, it's a lot different. Now you are watching TEDx videos, you're watching National Geographic videos, you're watching videos from different things, or you're watching a recipe video, right? As simple as that. Now, watching these videos actually gives you an exposure into different fields. It also helps you understand who are the pioneers in this field, what have they done in the past, right? So it really helps you develop a more all-rounded knowledge in that particular field. Why is the profile building important? Why is the interdisciplinary mindset important? Because it also helps you get into liberal arts colleges. So liberal arts colleges are these, it's a branch of universities and colleges in the US, and nowadays even in India, where it is more flexible, right? It's a smaller college. You have access to a lot more facilities. Excuse me. And the setting is a lot more intimate, because now you have only 30 students in one class as opposed to 150 students in a lecture class. So they are popular because they allow you to have an interdisciplinary major. They don't want you to be just an engineer, or when I say just an engineer, don't get me wrong. What I'm trying to tell you is, they don't want to term you as an engineer or a psychologist, or they don't want to categorize you like that. They want you to have a more vast expanse. So basically, they want to be able to tell someone that this student has majored in engineering and psychology, right? So what you choose to do after that is completely up to you, but they will give you the training you need to be either or both. Okay. And the interdisciplinary mindset also depends on how you pick your subjects in high school. Now with the new NEP, a lot of possibilities are opening up, but where you stand right now, your focus on PCM or PCB is going to take you quite far, because it is the basis for a lot of subjects. So that is why picking the right subjects in high school will definitely help you bridge your gaps and pursue unrelated fields in college as well. So you might not have had a certain subject in college, right? In school, but you can still do that in college provided you satisfy their prerequisites. That is why the interdisciplinary mindset plays a huge role. Coming to extracurricular activities, like I said, what counts? Qualitative over quantitative. How deep you go into it is more important than how many you do. I just noticed there's a typo there. Anyway, the other thing is consistency, right? If you're good at something, the fact of being at it constantly to improve yourself is going to help you, right? Unless, of course, if the interest fades. And as your academics start taking center stage, so in 11th and 12th, usually our extracurriculars are totally cut off sometimes. I would urge you to not cut it off completely, because you always need an outlet, right? And this is your outlet, the extracurricular. So keep it maybe at a lower frequency. All right. And where certifications matter, try to get the certifications done as you finish your 11th grade. Get them done with, so that in your 12th grade, you don't have to deal with certifications. Okay. And usually extracurricular activities make great stories for essays as well. um, Maybe Malini can go a little bit into it when she talks about the application process and how it helped her son. These extracurricular activities always give you a different perspective to understanding certain fields of study as well, right? So it really helps with essays, and essays are important for applications and admissions. And basically, when you're good at something, when you have, for example, Sunitsa was talking about talent-based jobs, right? Talent-based careers. So if you are good at music, or if you're good at martial arts, or if you're good at, maybe cooking, culinary skills, you could actually use these skills in college to either earn part-time money, or you can join clubs because of it. When I say clubs, it's student clubs, and also explore higher levels in that. Maybe you're a guitarist, maybe you're just learning, but you can go to college and take an elective in guitar, and that way you can improve upon your skills, right? So it really helps to have extracurriculars, because you never know which might become primary at which point, right? So you need to give room for that. All right. And the next thing is social responsibility, which also takes a big chunk of time, but it also helps an admissions committee evaluate your personality traits like empathy. How much initiative are you taking? How proactive are you with helping your community, right? How responsible are you? So, for example, with the pandemic, with a world level crisis going on, what are you doing to help, right? Every little bit counts. Remote efforts count as well nowadays, because we can't be there in person in a lot of places, so anything that you do remotely also counts. And even in this, consistency is key, right? You might be doing something through school, which is also okay, but it needs to be consistent. How do you manage time and all this? That's important, and we can help you do that, because you need to chart out your priorities first. Only then time management can come into play. All right. And the way you manage your time in high school sort of decides how you will be able to manage time in college. So that is also something that colleges look at. And last but not the least, your recommenders. Basically, you need recommendation letters even for your admission process. So your recommenders will actually be able to talk more about you than just someone who's been in their class, right? They will know that you have social responsibility. Maybe you've been part of a blood donation drive or something, and these make great stories for essays. These also make good content for recommendation letters. So it really matters how you use your time, and all this comes within the profile building. Now, I won't go too deep into the standardized tests and essays, but what I do want to tell you is, if you're looking at the US, right, for in your case, you will be looking at admissions in 2022. So by then, we're hoping that the chaos of scheduling and everything is out of the way, because now there's a lot of hindrance caused because of the scheduling fiasco given the pandemic, right? So the SAT, the Scholastic Aptitude Test, or the ACT, right? These are the two standardized testing systems which are accepted for the US and Canada. Now, in the US, most universities require it. Some of them recommend it. In Canada, it's mostly a recommendation for few universities, otherwise they don't require it. Okay, so the time at which you can take these tests should either be the summer between your 11th and 12th, or the October or September after you enter your 12th grade, which means you should start preparing for it right from now onwards, because this is going to test you on English and math. And if you're taking the ACT, which is, a variant, it also has a component of STEM in it. So for you to get familiar with the format of the exams and how you should prepare for it, you should start preparing for it right now. Students in the US and Canada start preparing for it right from grade 9. Okay, so for you to make up for the time that you've lost, you can start preparing for it right now. Take it in the summer of between your 11th and 12th, or in the October after you start your 12th grade. All right. As far as the English proficiency is concerned, now if you're in an IGCSE medium, or if you're in the like the Cambridge curriculum, or if you're in an IB curriculum, there is a chance that certain grades on your English program can actually help you get a waiver for the English proficiency test. But otherwise, since you're studying in India, you definitely need to take either the IELTS, which is the International English Language Testing System, or you need to take the TOEFL, which is the test of English as a foreign language. Now, this is quite straightforward. I don't think you need coaching for it. You just need to keep taking practice tests so that you're better at the language skills in terms of listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now, being in the 11th grade, how can we help you with profile building, right? So this is our specialized curriculum called Advanced. What is it? When can you start, right? So the main objective is for you to understand yourselves, right? How can you have some sort of self-assessment, self-understanding, so that you can channel your energy towards empowering yourself in that field? So only if you know what your strength is, you can feel empowered, right? So we help break down the process over 3 years. In fact, in 8th grade, it's an orientation to the advanced curriculum, but 9th to 11th is when we focus on the advanced completely, wherein it helps you become better prepared. By the time you reach grade 12, you would have been done with certain skills that are required to combat the application process. So irrespective of where you choose to study, doesn't matter. Maybe you want to study in India, maybe you want to study in Singapore, maybe you want to come to this part of the country, this part of the world, we will still help you equip yourself with life skills, right? I'll talk a bit more about what these skills are. And basically, whatever time you spend on this curriculum definitely adds up towards your university admission mentoring process, because all this is going to help you with that. So a snapshot of this is 3 modules. One is empowering through understanding. The second one is readers, writers, and presenters. And the third one is developing an interdisciplinary mindset. So in the empowerment part, we help you with personality development. So basically getting comfortable with your own self, right? Understanding your strengths, understanding where they're coming from, how you can build upon it, which will also help build your confidence and expression. Helping you set goals, understanding your interests, prioritizing what is important to you, and helping you manage your time in a certain way so that you can reach those goals. And this will also lead to building your resume, which we help you with. Extracurricular activities, we don't offer activities, but we tell you how to manage your time around the interests that you have and what you should focus on to be able to develop yourself in that field. When it comes to reading, writing, and presenting, there are different styles of reading. All of us are used to academic reading, or we have reading for pleasure, or we read fictions, novels, or we read for tests such as the SAT, ACT, or the competitive exams, right? So we can get you habituated to different styles of reading so that you know what strategy to use. Supposing you have to read a comprehension and answer questions, you have a strategy, right? Writing is such an important part of life itself, because you use it in different parts of your life, in different phases of your life. When it comes to college applications, it is essay related, but you also have to learn how to write your resume, how to write letters, how to write content for social media, or how to write content for blogs and things like that. So we help you with those kind of things. Also researching, how do you present a report on research? These are things we help you. Presentation skills, right? How do you put together a presentation? What is good? What can be impactful? right? Understanding the pulse of your audience. How do you present yourself in an interview? How do you present yourself in an interview, right? Using technology. So these are certain aspects we cover in the second module. And in the third module, we introduce you to a varied range of fields of study, by bringing in different people who are leading that field of study to help you understand what did they do, right? What did they do to get here? So for example, if someone is an established architect, what did they study? What subjects did they take in high school? What did they do in college? How did they land an internship? How did they get to where they are? So by understanding other people's journeys, it is not necessary that you have to follow the same thing, but you can get some ideas from there to understand what might work for you. So basically, how to connect the dots, right? So this is in a snapshot what we provide in terms of the advanced curriculum, which you can start right from now onwards to be able to deal with be done with certain things before you get to grade 12, so that you can focus on your academics and the application process at that point of time. Okay. Apart from this, this is all in 11th grade, right? Until 11th grade, these are things you can do: profile building, preparing for standardized tests, getting on the advanced curriculum. Once you get to grade 12, shortlisting universities becomes a really big portion, takes a big chunk of your time. I won't go into too much detail, but what I will tell you is there are different kinds of universities. In different countries, there are different kinds of universities, right? If you're looking at UK, and if you're someone who's interested in say medicine, right, then you're looking at taking a different kind of standardized test, because now you have to take something called UCAT, right, which is the clinical aptitude test for UK. So for that, you have to start preparing from now on, so that you can take it next year by October. July to October is your window, and by then you should even submit your application. So you have 1 year right from now, right? If you're looking at the US, there are public, private, Ivy League universities, liberal arts colleges. So there are different kinds of universities based on your priorities, your interests, and your goals and your preferences. We'll have to sit and work out to see which one might be good for you, and then you work in that direction. We also help you with deciding how to choose, right? How to choose universities, what are the different application portals you use. For the US, it's a lot more straightforward. And for UK is a lot more straightforward. For Canada, it is all separate applications. So it's a little complicated when it comes to Canada, but then that's why we are here to help you out in this process. And each university has different requirements, because one will say all we need is a personal statement. Another university will say we need one essay and then we need some supplemental essays. So how do you tackle these things, right? So we help you with that process. Time management becomes key every time, right? Not only in grade 11, even in grade 12, when you're looking at time management, you have so much going on. You have to work. This is for once you get to grade 12, right? You have to work based on the deadlines of these university application submissions, right? You have to work based on how you can get recommendation letters from your teachers, because now that is not in your control. That is something that is in your teacher's control, but only if you give them enough notice and enough information can they get it done in time. So how can you focus on timeline and planning? So usually when you get to grade 12, you should start from the month of July itself, right? So you should be set. This is if you're interested in US and Canada, right? If you're interested in UK, then you should be working right from now on. Okay, so in July, August, and September, these are the things you do. So July is more related to setting goals, talking to your inner circle, deciding what you want to do, and getting all the basics ready. Okay, find a counselor if you need one, because the earlier you start working, the better for you. In August, you should be shortlisting universities, you should be IDing your recommenders, and building a milestone chart. Milestone chart is nothing but setting your priorities, putting down the universities that you're going to apply to, putting their deadlines down, writing down what their requirements are, and setting internal deadlines for yourself to meet them. In September, you should be starting with working on the earliest application deadline. Start requesting for letters of recommendation, think of essay ideas, start writing, right? And start sending your test scores, because by now you should have either taken them or you should be in the process of taking them. And then come October to December, it's crunch time, because this is when all the deadlines are. You're tracking your progress, you have to keep writing, you have to follow up, fill application forms, review essays, finalize them. You're constantly sort of evaluating yourself as to where you stand. So when it comes to this timeline, it's a little different in grade 12 than it would be for grade 11. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Apart from that, there are different reasons why you should consider studying in the US or Canada or even the UK, because there are a lot of opportunities available in these places in the undergrad phase of life. For example, the liberal education system that I was talking to you about, having an interdisciplinary mindset or interdisciplinary major, it's research driven. Not everything is only course based. You don't sit in the same class. You keep moving from building to building. You have to develop independent study credits as well. It's a very practical approach. You don't just learn theory and let go of it. You're expected to apply it as well. There are internships available for you as you pursue your undergraduate degree. So when you finish your degree, you also come out with work experience, which makes you more eligible for positions even as an employee, right? And it's not just academics. Like I was telling you, there's a lot more to it than just that. You can take minors, you can take electives, you can pursue your field. Yesterday I was talking to a student who wants to pursue ice hockey in Canada as a part-time thing. So I told him it's possible. You just need to come here and take one of your electives as ice skating first before you can get into hockey. Overall, you develop a global perspective because you will meet people from different countries, and you will get to know of their culture, their mindset, and you will sort of get the whole world in one place, right? So it's a nice feeling to have. Okay, and then let me quickly tell you how the mentoring will work. So affordability is a big factor when it comes to choosing which country you want to study in, because each university, each country operates differently. But here is how we can help you as coaches at Indage. We have 5 steps to the success module that we call it. The first one is helping you set your goals, shortlisting universities, and find best programs that will suit your profile. The second thing is, after we review all these options with you, we help you apply to these universities also. So we help you with the milestone charting, time management, essay analysis, give you pointers for recommendation letters, build your resume, and also review your application forms completely. As universities start making their decisions, we will help you evaluate your choices. So after a point, it's difficult to decide where you want to go. So we will, go back to the board, go back to the whiteboard and see where you came from, why was this university important to you, and help you make that decision. And once you've accepted your offer, we'll also help you with your visa requirements. Now, apart from all this, our association with you never ends, because we still continue to keep in touch with you. We help you with travel, orientation, housing advice, connect you with people that we know in that place that can help you establish yourself over there, because you will be new to that place. So we leverage the network that we have to help you build yours. Okay, so we're very happy to partner with Kaksha. Actually, in fact, we've worked with their students we're working with one student now, and we've worked with one student in the past. And we want to be able. The whole aim of this is we want to be able to provide a one-stop solution for everything higher education related. So you'll get your tutoring from Kaksha, and then we can help you with the mentoring towards reaching study abroad goals. We want to offer an exclusive one-on-one road mapping session for you to gear up for what lies ahead. So now that you're in the 11th grade, you might have certain ideas in your head. We can help you put these on a roadmap and say, okay, to get to point B, these are the things you need to do from point A onwards, right? So we can definitely have an exclusive one-on-one session with you. We are offering the advanced curriculum to you, which is a holistic development process, which you will be eligible for right now, and constant support and guidance to build your profile, which becomes very important, not just for college, but even in the larger sense of things, right? So that is where we see how we can help you and how we can partner with Kaksha. We're very confident of the skills that Kaksha equips you with from an academic perspective, because then it makes the admission process a lot more easier. Okay, so why is all this important? Why are we even having this session on career guidance and what is out there, right? So basically, this is a principle followed by the Japanese people, where we know that the Japanese are the ones who have the longest of lives, right? So we want you to know that wherever you go, right? You need to remember your purpose, your reason for being. Okay, and this is a combination of four things, through which, the intersection of which, you can find your ikigai. Okay, ikigai is your reason for being. So how can you put this together? So you need to know what you love. Basically, what is your passion, right? What does the world need? What should be your mission? What are you good at, which is your vocation? And what can you get paid for, which is your profession? If you can find the intersection between these four things, right, you have found your ikigai. And our goal is to help you reach that spot, because a lot of us as adults are still finding our ikigai. But having known of this concept now, it's easier to implement it right from where you are, to get started, so that when you get to where we are, you'll feel a lot better. All right. So with that, I just want to leave you with some contact information as well, in case you're interested in following us on social media, or if you want to register for the roadmap session, you can. But either way, you can reach out to us through Sunit sir and through Kaksha, so that we can understand your profile from them and then help you with guidance beyond that. So I think I've taken enough time, but I wanted to just touch upon these things, and we can always go into more details with respect to the question and answer session. But without further ado, I just want to bring Malini on and introduce Malini to you. So Malini is one of our coaches who is amazing at understanding students from very different perspectives, because she has gone through the process herself as a parent, right? And she's a coach also, so she brings a lot of interesting perspectives. And without further ado, I'd like to bring Malini over to share a few points from her experience of being a parent and also as being a coach. So over to you, Malini.
Thanks, Meera. Hi, Sunit sir. Thank you as well for an interesting session. I hope you guys are still able to pay attention. I'll make it a very short synopsis because we need to leave time for your questions so that we can try and answer those as well. The advantage, I would say, of being the last speaker after two professional uh, ones out there, thorough professionals at that, is that there is not much left for me to say. But from a parent's perspective, I'll just put in that bit because they Sunit sir, I got to know him from 2014 onwards when my son was in 8th grade, and he reached out to him for tutoring, and the result is for everyone to see, which I'll get there. And he reached out at the right time, and Sunit sir, you all know how he deals with his profession. So he was very thorough, and he instilled interest as well, extra interest. It's not just the academic bit. So Siddharth, my son, who is now a first year student in college, in a US college, he went through all the process till 10th. He was the topper in his school. This is just a data point. It's not to say that just topping is the best thing to do, but it just shows the evolution. He had an interest, but Sunit sir worked on it and made him excel because he could, and he was interested and passionate about it, so he could also dedicate time. So having said that, for a student, sometimes it's very clear what they want to follow, but a lot of them, like if you're like my son, is someone who is interested in this and that and everything else. So it's very difficult to narrow in on a specific subject or a major. When you have this conversation, when you go from 10th to 11th, these are the choices that you need to make, which are the subjects you want to narrow your interest in. And then again, after 12th, when you're choosing universities, you need to be reasonably sure as to, that you should pick up a subject that really resonates with you, which appeals to you, not the one probably you have always scored well, but which you don't like it much, but somehow you are good at it that way. That is where Meera mentioned that your inner circle and others come into play, because they will be able to guide you as well, because they have seen your journey and very much part of it, and they can be giving you an advice which is with no vested interest in that. So as far as Siddharth is concerned, my son, so he went completed in his 13th grade, his school had a 10+3 system, and he took up from 11th onwards the Cambridge board. But Sunit sir has always been his tutor for physics and math, and every day chemistry as well. I think he kept adding subjects as he went through, and they had a fantastic equation, and it has worked very well. And he had excelled in the subjects that he had taken, which to his best capacity. I'm not saying more than that. And Meera, I would say my association started bang at the end of the application cycle. It's more like she was parachuted in kind of thing, because my son had this thing about law. He wanted to pursue law, maybe because he watched Suits at the right or wrong time, and then he was so fascinated by all this television series that happens and the glamour that is attached to it. But somewhere in the school, his school, he went to a boarding school in Coimbatore, Isha Home School, and but they believe in giving an all-rounded mentoring kind of thing, not just teaching. They know the children very well. They are like parents to them, so they just look at individuals and see what is best for the child rather than what is easy for them that way. So in his case, he was not very clear, and then he tried law, his interest in law. So with his extra year added in school was to provide this exposure for through internship for people, kids to explore the field that they are interested in. So he went around and did 2 legal internship, and at the end of it, he realized that he was missing math. So how do we fit math in there? So he went back, and when he debriefed in his school to his counselor there, then he said, like, but then he was said, according to the counselor, my son said, but law seems to be a good professional degree to have. So my advice to you, everyone there, is like, don't go for these tags or badges that we think, the traditional ones, that it's a solid degree to have, it's a good degree to have. What you should ask is, how interested are you to do that? Pursue it more and do it day in and day out through your entire life. Maybe you can change your course, but at least when you're taking up something, you must be really sure how deeply you are interested in that subject at that moment. Life can change you, but that's just fine. So then after that, he said, okay, so there need to be math, and then entire calculation change. Otherwise, he was supposed to give CLAT and then also apply to UK for a backup, and then apply to Jindal and other private universities here and see. So that is where Meera entered, because Meera had held a writing workshop in his school, and so then we were introduced, and then we took up her services, and I became an Indage customer, so to speak. So it started in August, last August, when so that's a really late cycle, I would say, for US application that way, because he had not given any SAT exam, he has not given ACT. There is so everything was so compressed, the time frame that Meera mentioned through the advanced curriculum, and when is the right time to get started, so that you have enough cushion on your side, that way, so that you can do better. You are not under this extra pressure of deadline. It's very important to start early, no matter what. Once you reach high school, I think it's important to have these thoughts to yourself as to what is it that really interests you, what is it that you will see yourself at doing more or studying more, that way, and then keep working on that. So when with Meera, then we had to kind of make sure all the timelines and everything, the thorough professional that she is, we went through everything quickly. And you must understand that as a boarding school student, his availability was also heavily curtailed, because he was at home for a month. That was the only window we had when we could fully utilize his time, because once he goes to the boarding school, they have their own system, and he's not available by phone, because they don't allow gadgets, and then they have limited computer chat time, so to speak. So we went through all that. We thankfully there was some interest in writing. He had he was one he was an author of a book, as in one short story collection that he also was part of while in school. and he reads, so that helps. And then his writing was fine, so we could manage everything, compress everything. But if you were to ask me, if I were to do it again as a parent and him as a student, what is the first thing that I would do differently is budget more time. So start early, and then when then you have these conversations early. Ask for help early, whatever. If you think you need help, ask. Don't be shy. If you think you can manage, go ahead with it. Explore, and then you just ask other seniors or your school counselor or anybody else. Reach out, but don't be under any false impression, or don't leave things for the last minute, because then that is the biggest disadvantage you can do to yourself that way in your journey ahead. Then another thing is to evaluate his interest as you go forward, because see, it's okay to change your interest, as in Siddharth's case, from law to, initially he was interested in pure math, then he changed to law, then he went back to okay, I need a bit of math and something else. And what was that something else? He was not sure, and neither could I help as a parent, because I wanted it to come from him, because it's very important that these are the subjects that he will study. So finally, economics is something that he came about, and he said, I want some specializations in research economics, which Amira mentioned in a slide, is one of the, if you look at it, it's an interesting field. For example, time, which we don't actually consider, is a resource in itself. It's a non-renewable resource. And how, so this starts with, interest starts with this. If you look at it, your time right now, and up to the point you leave high school, and then your whole application process that you carry with you, is something that will really help. How well you plan it and how well you go through it will really help you at the other side, when you reach. And then of course there is professional help if you're engaging, who will help you once you're there through the visa and other formalities. And you can always have conversation with Sunit sir and Meera, and I'm there too now, so as a coach. That's how it is. Send in your application early. That's very important. Don't wait for the deadline to, the last day before the deadline or on the day of deadline. The earlier you do everything, the better. Take the ACTs, your SATs, if you're looking at US universities early. It will give you more chances to better yourself if you want that. Otherwise you won't have time, just before you apply that way. And what else? Yeah, write, start in, writing. If you're not a person who's interested in writing, just develop some interest if you want to apply abroad. Not just that, if you just want to further anywhere in India or in future, because writing is so crucial to any field that way. You need to understand there is it's the essence of communication that way, not just talking, even writing that way. So it will help you, and don't just look at it from an admissions point of view. It's a life skill and you need it. So the more you read, the better you get at writing as well. You get more exposure, and then you get better. So these are the things. Anything else I have forgotten to cover as a parent? Let me see. No, apply early, start early, think early, do everything early. That's what my bottom line is. Over to you, Sunit sir.
Thanks, Meera ma'am and Malini ma'am, for such an informative session, and to share your experience. Now we are ready to take questions. Specific questions which someone has. Please don't hesitate. Go ahead and ask the question.
Before starting Q&A, I want to thank everyone for their energy, because we started post lunch, and that is I think a dullest time in the day, and we started with 16 people, and still there are 14 people with us. So I want to thank you all, the parents and the students, to be with us. So just I request everyone to also make their camera on. It will look more good to interact.
Yeah, please.
Please, for sometimes, please open up your camera. So, Sean,
yeah, please ask your questions without wasting time. We should, focus on question answers. Madhav, you have any question?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Please.
So the thing I had to ask was, since you mentioned this as well, how your son started a little late and how he had to compress all of his testing and everything into quite a short period of time. So what I had to ask you was, while also taking all these tests in such a short period of time, how was he able to manage maybe any extracurriculars and anything else that need, things that are needed apart from the obvious tests and academics for the application? Like, how was it all managed in, I mean, as you said, a shorter period of time?
Y- Yes, thanks, Mother, for that. It was a crazy period. I wouldn't want to relive it. He was in Coimbatore. His school was in session, but since they also knew the nature of his problem, because he was not someone who sat and woke up at the last minute. He tried different things, and then he was actively encouraged to follow his passion and just not go for anything that was dead obvious. So what we could, he managed to take two ACTs between the decision, his decision to apply to US in August, mid-August. We took that decision. So he did one in September and he did one in October. He flew down from Coimbatore, wrote the previous night, and then he wrote the exam and then went back the same day, because these exams chose the morning timing so that he finished and then he could catch a flight and go back, so that the school allowed. They were flexible. That is one. So he the amount of time that while in school, of course, he had to prepare for that as well. So in his case, he started on his own, but he said, no, I would need help, because I don't have the luxury of time to better myself for several times, unlike a few of his other friends who had started early. So we had also taken help for ACT coaching, and then so that helped. He got a 32 out of 36, so which was not bad, and that's all we had time for. So this is how he was the captain of his volleyball team in school, and he also have this passionate interest in music. He sings. He's part of the school band. He's the lead singer. So he didn't miss too much in terms of, because he was physically absent only for 2 days kind of thing from school for actual writing of exam. But yes, the school did give him some time to prepare for that ACT coaching, which is not normally done in boarding school, in a school especially, because they don't want this competitive exam coaching to intervene with the way they are scheduled, but exceptions are there. So that's how in life, if you're flexible, and then if they also saw probably him trying his best, and so his inner circle encouraged him, everyone stood by him, and so he could sail through. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I think just to add, Siddharth had things going for him right from grade 8 onwards, right? Because he was into colory as well.
Yeah.
And so he had some level of consistency that was prevalent in terms of his extracurriculars. Maybe the frequency of it, probably volleyball took center stage after a certain point, but he continued to keep at certain activities so that he could actually showcase it as consistent extracurricular activities that he's been part of. So that helps. So that's why I said reduce the frequency if you have to, because you have so many things that you're juggling with, but keep it going so that it'll add to your to your personality as well. In fact, if I may share, his essay itself revolved around his volleyball and math and physics, right? So
Yeah.
he kind of put together how his positioning and how the angle of how he would strike the ball and things like that would help. So that became a very interesting essay, because it now brings in his extracurriculars, it brings in his focus in the subject as well, and it also brings his passion for both of it. So it was that's how you build on your story as well.
Yes, thanks, Meera, for reminding the extracurricular bit.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So yeah, but the way in his school structured as well. In the boarding school, they were exposed to a lot of activities, and they were allowed to go deeper as well. So there were some things like, say, coloring, and then volleyball, which came in only after ninth standard, I think. But eighth standard onwards, he was involved in coloring. He was always singing, And he developed a passion for volleyball later, but through his anime interest, watching anime, and one anime watching the anime changed his life, kind of thing. He suddenly realized, probably it seemed all superfluous when he talked to us about, I'm planning to write an essay on volleyball and how this anime has inspired. It felt like, it seems so filmy and not so real. But because he really felt that, and he passionately shared that the essay worked. Mira said it really works, so it went through. And yeah, he's accepted it. He got acceptance from about 11 universities in the US and UBC in Canada, but he chose to go with the University of Massachusetts, where he's also got scholarship and their honors college thing. So all thanks to everyone, Meera, Sunit sir, himself, his teachers, everyone.
Anyone else who wants to ask something about any career choice, not only about US or something, you can ask us about anything, whatever is there in your mind. Please don't hesitate.
So, for a person interested in architecture or interior, what would you advise, taking JE 1 and 2 or just taking JE paper 2?
No, see, I would advise to take JE 1 and 2 both. Why? Because JE 2 is specifically required for architecture courses, but few of the colleges they give you admissions through JE 1 also. Means you have to get through that JE mains paper, and then through that also they give you admission. So what I'll do, I'll share with you list of colleges who accept only JE 2 scores, and then some of the colleges which require both, basically. So I'll share the details of this separately with you, Sahaj. Okay. Any other query?
Okay, sir, thank you.
Any other query, Pacho? I think Siddhant had certain queries. One of the student had certain queries. I discussed it with you. He had a query that for medical sciences, what are the options available? How to go about it if someone is looking for medical sciences abroad.
Sure. Okay. So when it comes to medicine, it's a different ball game when you compare it with India, UK, and the US. So how it works in different countries, India, though you're familiar with, but for UK, it is similar to India in terms of the fact that you can start studying medicine right after your high school. Okay, so there are about 15 universities in the UK that offer medicine and dentistry, and for international students. In order to qualify for that, you have to take something called the UK Clinical Aptitude Test. Now, this test is something that you will have to take between July to October of your 11th or 12th grade, depending on when you want to take it. I would advise taking it in the 12th grade. So between July to October is when it is available. So you have to book your slots earlier on, prepare for it for a year, and then take it, in your case, next year, July to October. And you have to submit your applications by October 15th of the previous year of when you want to go. So for example, if you are someone who's going to start college in 2022, then you have to submit your UCAS application, which is the UK application for colleges and universities, by October 15th of 2021. And you're allowed to apply only to 5 universities, max, all right, through the UCAS. So basically, you are looking at preparing right from now on to submit your applications by next year for a course that you're going to start in 2022. This is for UK. When it comes to US, it's very different because you cannot start your medicine program immediately after high school. The US requires you to have at least 4 years of a bachelor's degree in the pre-medicine field before you can qualify to take something called the MCAT, which is the medical college aptitude test for the US, you take the MCATs and then you qualify to get into medical school. So you're looking at 4 years of bachelor's and then maybe 4 to 5 years of medical school to get an MD directly. Like in India, after 5 years, you get MBBS, and then for about 2 or 3 years, you do your MD. But in the US, you finish 4 years of a bachelor's in a pre-med program, then 4 years of your medical school, then you get directly an MD degree. Okay, so this is the big difference between doing medicine in India versus UK versus US. Coming to the financial aspect, India is any day the economical option. Then comes UK, then comes US. US is quite expensive because you have to factor in the 8 years that you're going to spend for college as well. So that is the biggest take. But the reason why they've structured it that way in the US is also because sometimes after taking certain subjects in the pre-medicine field, you realize that maybe you're not cut out for medicine, right? But you cannot sort of do that if you're already in a medical school in the UK or in India, because you have to drop out of it. You have lost those years and then you go into some other subject, right? But in the US, if you feel like in the second or third year, okay, I'm not cut out for this, I want to do something else, you can still do that. So that is why they have that cushion, for you to sort of explore what it might be and then decide whether you still want to go for it or not. So it saves you a little bit of time overall, but it takes a little longer in the process as well.
So is there any fundings or scholarships available for US colleges?
Not for medicine, but if you're looking at scholarships at the undergraduate level for bachelor's, there's a lot of scholarship available. In fact, Malini can also talk about this. Siddharth has had scholarships from 3 universities, I think, right? 2 or 3 universities, and 4. Okay, so yeah, so he has quite a few. So you have opportunities to get scholarship at the undergrad level. So for the pre-med, you can get a scholarship, but for the actual medicine program, not so much. It's expensive, and there is no opportunity for scholarship also.
Anyone else? There was one more query. Yeah.
And Sunit sir, one quick point I want to make is in UK, they need chemistry is the main thing that you need for your medicine. You need to have chemistry. It's okay, and then you can have either physics or biology or even math if you're taking medicine, which is unheard of here, right? We need a PCB kind of if you're going. So this is a difference, but chemistry seems to be the central thing that they want for a high school student, and then they can have any of the other combination that way.
Okay, here in India, bio is the center state basically.
Right.
And yeah, someone was asking something. So
Yes, sir. Ma'am, I had a question, like if you're applying in Europe for, let's suppose, a science degree, whether it be bachelor's in computer science or engineering, which exam should I take? Is a SAT more relevant to it or a ACT?
So here's the thing, right? When it comes to Europe, it is really university specific. Some of them don't even require any of these standardized tests. They go just by your academics. So you may not even have to take any standardized test. So it really depends on which country you're looking at. But to be on the safer side, right, the SAT is always something that is more widely accepted. So if you want to take the SAT just to keep all your options open, you can. That would be a smarter choice. And then there's always the opportunity to do SAT subjects if you want to, right? SAT has I think SAT 2 has tons of subjects that you can take tests in, graded out of 800. So you can definitely look into it if you want to say, for example, if you're looking at engineering, then I would recommend taking the math, SAT. So that even though your general SAT has English and math, the SAT subject math is a little different. It's more deeper. So you can take the SAT math, you can take the SAT physics. That will help you to sort of showcase your interest in that particular field. So although you might not require it based on the country, you can still take the SAT to keep your options open.
Okay, thank you.
So Adibha, what you need is to understand that, first you need to decide on the country, decide on the course basically, if you want to do an aeronautical engineering or automobile engineering. So you need to first figure out uh, the main course which you want there, the branch which you want to choose in engineering. Because in India, it's like engineering means, getting into college, and then you go through all this counseling process, and then you decide on the, we don't decide, basically. We are we are not choosers. We have been given ki you will get this branch, and then you take admissions here in India. But in, when you are applying outside, it would be better that you figure out if you are more interested in automobile engineering. That's what you are interested in, I suppose, jitna mujhe yaad hai.
Sir,
So,
sir, I'll either do that or I'll do computer science.
okay, so you need to figure out whatever two courses you are thinking of, the country which you want to go. Like Germany is considered to be good for automobile engineering. That's what I understand as a layman. Meera ma'am will be more a better person to guide you there. So yeah, you need to decide on the country, the course, and then we can figure out the universities, and then we can find out the path. Am I right, Meera ma'am?
You're absolutely right. The country would work first, and you're absolutely right about automobile engineering as well. Germany is a great place for automobile engineering, or even mechanical, any kind of mechanical engineering. Germany is pretty good. If you're looking at more of a biomedical side of things, then I would recommend Sweden. Sweden's really good for such things. So, yeah, it really depends on the country.
Yeah. Any other question which we are having? There was one more girl, Chaitanya says there. She wanted to know more about, a career in commercial pilot, as a commercial pilot. So I have been
Sure.
searching here in India also what are the options and other things. Can you give some inputs there?
Sure. So when it comes to commercial pilot, it's a little different. It's a little tricky also, because there are different kind of licenses and certifications and ratings, they call it, that you need to take. But the basis of it is to take some kind of an aviation related bachelor's course in the undergrad first, and this has to have math, and some of them specify the need for physics as well, because you will be using those things later on. So first off, your basis has to be an undergraduate program. After that, there's something called a private pilot certification, right? So for that, you need to have 40 hours of flying time. So there are certain separate institutions that let you take private pilot certification lessons training, and then after that you have to pass an exam. So that includes a medical exam as well, because your eyesight and your physical fitness is so important when you get to that stage. Then you get to something called a program which helps you fly single engine flights, and then you get to do something called instrument rating. Instrument rating is a separate certification. So you overall, you're looking at about 100 plus hours of flying to be able to certify yourself as a commercial pilot, because only after you finish your undergrad, after you finish certain courses in all these different trainings, so the training doesn't certify you, the training only helps you take the certification exam, and then those licenses can actually be used towards getting a commercial pilot license. Beyond that, there's something called the flight instructor license. Once you have so many hours, I think you need about 250 hours of flying time to become a flight instructor. So it really depends. There are different categories the way you would see it. If you only want to stop with private pilot licensing, you can stop there. You want to stop with commercial pilot, you can stop. You want to go into flight instructor, you can go to that level. So it really depends on where you want to go. But the basis is definitely having math and physics in your undergrad, and then taking an aviation related course. There are really good universities that have, you don't even need to do aeronautical engineering as such. You just need to take courses which will help you with the aviation sciences. So the birthplace of what aircrafts and flying is actually Ohio, with the Wright brothers and everything. And there is a university there called Wright State University. They do specialize in certain programs related to aviation and flying. But there's also University of North Carolina, which is where the Wright brothers actually, I think, patented the first flying or things, something like that. So North Carolina is a great place as well. Georgia Tech is really good for anything related to aerospace, engineering related programs. So there's a lot. And wherever, like for example, because NASA is in Houston and then there is a little space even in Florida, you do have universities in those regions providing you with certain courses which will help you equip yourself to go into either fields. Like you want to go into aerospace, aviation, aeronautics, whichever way you want to go. The good thing about these universities that I'm naming, or even the states that I'm talking about, is that there are wonderful internship opportunities available to you while you're studying in that particular field. So that kind of adds to your resume, adds to your profile. So even if you don't have the flying time as such, you can at least get into training because of the kind of resume that you build. So these are some places that will work. But either way, a basic aviation course, a bachelor's degree in a basic aviation course, becomes the foundation for such things. After that, it depends on what kind of certification you want to take.
Will you quote some examples for the aviation courses, like the undergraduate aviation courses?
So, like I said, anything related to math and physics is good, right? Anything related to mechanical engineering is good, right? Anything related to aerospace engineering is good, but what I'm saying is you don't need to go in that direction, but you can stick to something related to, I can look up these courses for you if you want, but just look up Wright State University, WRIGHT, Wright State University in Dayton, or even University of North Carolina. You will find courses which may not be engineering related, but will have a focus on aviation science.
Chaitanya, I'll be also helping you out with looking at these universities. I'll dig into it. Yesterday I tried doing it, didn't have much time. So yeah, within a day or two, I'll list down all the aviation colleges here in India. Meera ma'am can help with colleges.
Sure.
And then you can decide on how to go about it. And I'll also list down the exams, entrance exams which are required, and the kind of certifications which are required. I'll just try to find it out.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, can you please again brief what are the criteria for your MBBS from UK?
MBBS from UK. Okay. So like I said, there are 15 universities in UK that accept international students for their medicine or dentistry program. Okay. Out of these 15, you can only apply to 5. So basically, based on the criteria or the kind of students they have accepted in the past, based on their academics, based on their UCAT scores, right, which is the UK Clinical Aptitude Test, they will decide who are the students they're taking in for that particular year. Now, for you to prepare yourself for that, you need to definitely have physics, chemistry, like Malini mentioned. You definitely need chemistry. Biology, if you have it, it's great. You definitely need these courses to be able to clear the UCAT, right? Once you clear the UCAT in July to October, because that is when it is offered, you are supposed to take it next year. So next year, between July to October 2021, you should have taken your UCAT, and you should have also put together your application, which is the UCAS. Okay, don't get confused. UCAT is the clinical aptitude test. UCAS is the college application. All right, college and university application for UK. So you will put in your UCAS application for a limited number of 5 universities. That is the restriction that the country has. So you can only apply to 5 universities. Using your UCAT score, using your UCAS application, credentials like your academics, your IELTS scores, and your recommendation letters, and something called a personal statement, universities will decide whether they want to admit you or not. So the eligibility criteria as such is definitely good academics, because you're competing for a seat, for a very low number of seats in 15 universities only in the UK, right? Out of the 15, you can only apply to 5. And you can imagine how many people are applying to these universities. So basically, you're a small fish in a very big pond, right? So the better your academics are, the better your chances of getting into these kind of universities in UK, and definitely start preparing for the UCAT right from now on.
Yes, and I would like to add, if you are interested in applying to Oxford or Cambridge, they have a separate exam called BMAT.
Right.
So yes, so you need to prepare for that in case they feature. You can only choose either Oxford or Cambridge if, in case you don't know that. You're not allowed to. In your five UCAS limited application, you can choose Oxford, either Oxford or Cambridge, and four other colleges. So if Oxford or Cambridge features in your in your application, then you also need to do BMAT.
Okay,
Good
mama.
point,
Mama, and
Nadi.
also, is there any age criteria?
No, there is no age criteria as such, but as far as the UK is concerned, if you have it, if you've taken a gap, right, you need to be able to explain it.
Oh, okay.
And they do look at it to see whether you've constructively used that time, as opposed to the US, where even if you've just taken a gap year to, you know, ponder about something, or want to do some self realization, it is totally acceptable. But when it comes to UK, they do want to go a little more into detail of what you have done to further improve yourself towards achieving the goals that you have in mind. So you'll have to explain that clearly in your personal statement, but otherwise age doesn't matter.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, Siddhant.
Anyone, sir? Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Diva.
Like if we have some like activities in which we are good, like drawing or some like in general in an activity, and we haven't really taken part in any competition as such, like, so, and if you want to mention it in our CV that we are good at this, and we want to like show them a proof of that, so like I can't find any competition related to it, so how can I show it to the people? And
Great question, Adiba. Okay, so there are a lot of things that we do, which we do out of passion. We're not doing it because we want to achieve something in it, right? It's just something that we do, right? Now, the funny part is, even universities and all these extracurricular activities that you're saying you have, right? They don't ask you for certification. You list it as an achievement in your resume, right? That you have participated in this event, that event, you've won this, you've won that, and so on and so forth. But at no point do they actually want proof of it. Okay, but in your case, if you have been someone who's like to draw a lot, then all that matters is you showcase how much time you spend every week on something like that, and what it means to you, right? Now, when you look at the application form, when they ask you to list your activities, that's what they focus on. Yes, they do ask for achievements if you have any, right? And that definitely shows how much of effort you put into it. But nevertheless, whatever you do in the time that you have counts, right? In some way or the other. Maybe you use it to understand concepts better, because sometimes when we are learning something, a pic a sort of like a photograph always helps you remember things better. A diagram helps you remember things better rather than just reading about it. So if you are someone who learns by drawing, right, those are things you can actually talk about. So even though you don't have achievements, showcasing how much time you spend on it and what it means to you can help you go a long way. If you've done any workshops, if you've taken any kind of art lessons, art classes, right, all that matters. So it doesn't matter if you've not excelled in it, right? Because everybody cannot excel in certain things, right? So they put in an effort. Some people excel, some people don't. Some people do it out of pure passion. For example, if traveling is your thing, right? How are you going to showcase traveling? If you're someone who doesn't like taking pictures, how are you going to showcase it? You're going to showcase it from what you have learned from the traveling, right? So same way, how can you explore more about yourself because of the interest you have, can showcase your interest in that activity. I hope that was not confusing.
no, thanks.
Anyone else?
Just one question, ma'am. The minimum height requirement, that is 162.5, is it strictly followed in commercial pilot also, just for Air Force?
I need to check that because I'm not sure what the height recommendations are over here. As far as I can tell, there was no specific mention in the programs that I have seen. But I need to check about that. Let me get back to you on that. And plus, the other thing is in the US, because it is more of a private flying lesson, right? It's more of a private pilot certification. I don't think they're that particular. In India, I think because it's an Air Force thing, I think they have to be a lot more particular about height and things like that. But here it's private and commercial. So I'm not too sure. Let me check. Sometimes there's also a difference between the states. One state will have a certain rule, the other state will have a completely different rule. And they'll say you can fly over this airspace, if you have these credentials, but you cannot fly over this airspace. So let me check on that. Great question, though. I'll make a note of that.
Yeah, and Chaitanya, it is more of here also in India. It's more of there in APCAT basically, where you have to in Air Force when you are applying for Air Force, they are more stringent. In normal commercial pilots, I think there are certain relaxations there. I'll also again check it here for India and we'll get back to you on this.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Sir? I think we have taken almost 2 hours, more than 2 hours of time. So we are open for all the questions which you have. You can keep on writing it to us. Whatever queries. If I am able to answer, I'll do that, or I'll route it to Meera ma'am or Malini ma'am. They'll give their inputs. It was a very nice session. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in. And thanks Meera ma'am and Malini ma'am for such informative session. I also learned a lot out of this. And in fact, students got benefited. And whatever queries they will have, they'll get back to us. And in fact, I'll share with them all the details which you are going to share with me, so that if they want to take our services later on one-on-one services also, they can take those services.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sunit sir, and thank you, Ankit, for organizing it and being the constant support with the tech and everything. And I just want to take the opportunity to say all the very best to all of you. This is home stretch to a certain extent for all of you to decide where you want to go and how you want to go and when you want to get there. So definitely keep the focus and dive deep to understand who you are, and you will definitely get to your goals with that focus. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. I'll end the meeting there. Thanks a lot.